everybody, welcome to Previews Reviews, coming to you from Stadium Comics, located in Shoppers World Mall in beautiful Brampton, Ontario. Here are your hosts, Kevin Hickey and Ricky Lima.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Previews Reviews. I'm Kevin Hickey.
And I'm Ricky Lima.
That's pretty good opening music, eh?
I loved it. That was good.
That was really good.
Who did it?
Sean Hatton did it for us. Sean Hatton of Electric Playground and Musical Mastermind.
DJ Finish'em.
Cobra. Swashbuckler. Check out Swashbuckler. You won't be disappointed.
Shock Rockets. What?
Shock Rockets.
I know my history, my Stadium Comics history.
Shock Rockets is the band that we used to have with Sean Hatton, and they provide the theme to Unboxing Wednesdays and also the former theme to this show, which I guess maybe Sean was like embarrassed about, and he was like, "Yeah, don't have that song playing anymore.
Maybe
have this new song that I've created."
That he has birthed.
But welcome to Previews Reviews. Today we're going to talk about comics coming out in May 2012. Previews, of course, is the magazine that you can pre-order all of your fun pop culture merchandise out of. Comics, graphic novels, statues, toys, collectibles. But in this episode, we are going to focus on the comics. And May is quite the month for comics, my friend.
Yes.
In addition to the stuff that we're going to be talking about, there is also a little event that we like to call Free Comic Book Day.
A little event,
goes on
you
in
say?
May. Yeah. Probably the biggest comic event of the year. Goes down Saturday, May 5th. And we figured we were going to show you a bunch of the free comic books that are coming out in May. But we're too lazy for that. No, since we're covering mostly stuff that you can pre-order through your stores, Free Comic Book Day is not really so much of a pre-order event. It's more of a day for you to just come in and pick up a bunch of free crap that we bring in. So we'll look at those comics a little further into the future, a little closer to May 5th. But we do have some kick-ass comics we're going to discuss today. I'm going to let Ricky start it off this week.
Here we go. This one's particularly interesting. Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison #1. The graduation celebration for the first class of Imperial cadets is disrupted by a sudden terrorist strike. But the real targets of the attack are the new Emperor and his second-in-command, Darth Vader. Only one man, a disabled, brilliant cadet who, up until the moment of the attack, was experiencing the best moment of his life, stands ready to fight alongside Vader for the life of his Emperor. Now, this sounds really weird. It's almost like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing, where it's like...
Oh, the title you mean?
Yeah, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison.
That would be actually pretty cool. I would have liked to have seen like a classic Scooby-Doo episode from late 70s, early 80s.
With Darth Vader?
Guest starring Darth Vader. But, alas, it never happened. But...
Hopefully with this book.
There's always time.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't usually cover Star Wars books in Previews Reviews. They don't really usually interest me, the Star Wars comics. This one, though, for some reason, caught my eye. And I think it's because it takes place between episode 3 and 4. So, right at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader, of course, becomes Darth Vader. And episode 4 is, the classic first, the first Star Wars movie. And I think the Darth Vader that we're going to see in this book is somebody who is still coming to terms with who he is. I'm looking forward to seeing some more of the transition that we saw in episode 3 of the man Anakin into whatever Vader becomes.
That is Vader. Yeah, and I mean it's written by Hayden Blackman, who's done a whole bunch of like Star Wars stuff, and he did The Force Unleashed.
Did you like The Force Unleashed?
No, I didn't. But that's mainly just because I didn't.
What is this? Flavorful reviews where you just hate everything?
Yes.
Jeez.
I don't know. Force Unleashed I couldn't get into. It was like the first one was kind of like broken.
Okay.
And then the second one I didn't give a chance. So.
All right. So maybe not so much a fan of Hayden Blackman.
Well, the story's really cool. I mean, with Star Killer and everything, that was badass.
Yeah.
But just the gameplay is kind of broken.
Cool,
I
man.
like it.
The other thing that I like about this book is the cover to issue #1. Looks amazing. It looks like a poster that I'd like to have
Nice.
hung on my wall. Darth Vader. No, I don't want to.
Well,
I don't want a Darth Vader poster.
These terrorist attacks, they probably would have succeeded if it wasn't for those damn kids.
Those damn rebels.
Right? Take off their mask.
All right, up next, we're going to look at 2 new books coming from DC. These are part of the second wave of New 52 relaunch books. And the reason I'm covering 2 of them is because they're both pretty much linked. And that is Earth 2 #1 and World's Finest #1. For Earth 2 #1, it's the first issue of an ongoing series from writer James Robinson and artist Nicola Scott. Who are the heroes of Earth 2 and what befell them? This is starring Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and many others. You may think you know Earth 2, but this is DC Comics, the New 52, where anything can happen. Don't miss the extra-sized debut issue. And now looking at World's Finest, it's a new ongoing series featuring Power Girl and Huntress of Earth 2. Paul Levitz teams with amazing artists George Perez and Kevin Maguire. Discover why these 2 heroes are stranded on our Earth and what it means for the heroes in the DC universe. Earth 2. The return of Earth 2 to DC Comics.
Seems pretty cool, but I don't like how DC's all like, ooh, everything's new in the New 52. We're going to blow your mind. And then they don't really do anything mind-blowing.
Well, there's been some mind-blowing stuff in the New 52. Mind-blowing sales. Crickets.
But, I mean, I think the most shocking thing that come out of the New 52 was in Detective Comics when Joker's face was ripped off.
Yeah.
But then they didn't really go anywhere with that, and then you're like, oh, who cares?
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Earth 2. I know Rob's disappointed that they're not just going with the regular old Earth 2, and they're actually doing a whole reboot of the Earth 2 universe. This is not a continuation of what's been happening in Earth 2 prior to the relaunch. It's a completely new universe. For those of you who don't know what Earth 2 is, it's the universe that was created back in the early 60s, and the first appearance was in The Flash of Two Worlds. And I'll throw a cover image of that up on the screen here so you can see what that is. And it was basically what allowed the Silver Age and Golden Age heroes to interact with each other in the same story. It was an explanation as to why that was able to happen. And it kind of, the Earth 2 universe kind of got destroyed and in the Infinite Crisis, and kind of some of the characters got brought back, and universes merged, and you know, people like the Justice Society of America who were in Earth 2 ended up being on our Earth, and it was all fun and games until until Flashpoint and the relaunched universe. So it's good to see Earth 2 coming back. The first images that we've seen from the book, it looks like the world's in constant chaos.
It looks pretty cool. Like some of the new costumes, they look pretty awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of the costumes, Jim Lee has been releasing some of his concept sketches for the Earth 2 costumes, and if anything, it gives DC more figures to sell, I guess.
That's right.
They've showed some pictures of a female Robin, and it's been confirmed that that female Robin is actually the Huntress that we've been seeing in the Huntress miniseries, issues 1 to 6 that Marcus Toe has been working on. And the Power Girl, without her boob window, is actually the Supergirl of Earth 2. So
that's great.
It'll be interesting to see. Who's Batman going to be? There's a lot of people that are saying Batman is going to be Damian Wayne, all grown up.
I know who Batman is going to be.
Who?
It's going to be Ricky Lima.
Ricky Lima?
Yeah.
In your dreams.
DC called me up. They're like, dude, we need you in Earth 2. And I'm like, you know what, for you, Jim Lee.
You're there? Nice. So. As long as that George Perez guy doesn't have to write you.
Yeah, I write my own stuff.
Let's talk about that. Ricky, you bashed George Perez in a recent episode of Flavorful Reviews.
Nobody liked the Superman run he's been doing. It's very wordy. It's very dumb.
I like, though, how you were like, oh, I'll teach you how to write, George. This is a guy who's written some of the most important stories in DC Comics.
Well, what do you need to do, right? Some people, they need help.
All right. There you have it. Ricky, better than George Perez, apparently.
We should get T-shirts made.
You should. We should. You know what? We should. Why don't you write your version of Superman, and we'll put it out there to all the viewers out there to see if your version is superior to that of George Perez. If you were to create your own Superman story,
all right, who are we gonna get to do the art?
Well, you just do a script.
Okay.
Do a script up.
Done.
Do like, I don't know, do a short story.
Well, it's happening. It's happening.
Cool.
Up next, we have Star Trek / Doctor Who, Assimilation Squared. They said it would never happen. Nearly 5 decades and 1,500 episodes in the making, the two greatest science fiction properties of all time cross over for the first time in history. Star Trek The Next Generation and Doctor Who Assimilation Squared. When the Federation's most terrifying enemy strikes an unholy alliance with one of the Doctor's most hated antagonists, the result is devastation on a cosmic scale. Spanning the ends of space and time itself, Captain Jean-Luc Picard and the crew of the USS Enterprise find themselves joining forces with the Doctor and his companions, with the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. This is the adventure that both Trekkers and Whovians have waited for all their lives. Geronimo? Make it so.
Well done, Ricky. Well done.
Whovians? I've never heard that before.
Whovians.
Whovians.
Whovians are growing in number. It's almost like when you look at a previous catalog these days, comparing amount of Star Trek merchandise available to the amount of Doctor Who merchandise available, it would appear that the Whovians, as I guess they're called, are overtaking the Trekkies.
I guess.
It could be that Trekkies are waning a little, and the Whovians are on the rise.
It almost sounds like people are a fan of Hoover vacuums. The Whovians. Hooverians.
I take issue with a little bit of this advertising copy, though.
Why is that?
At the first line is, they said it would never happen. Who is they?
Yeah.
Is there some organization that's, like, sitting around?
Yeah, it's the Illuminati.
Like, nope, a Doctor Who and Star Trek crossover will never happen.
That's what happens, man.
And they signed a declaration in blood.
Yeah, my father's part of that.
It's part of the secret society
yes,
of
science fiction people.
Of keeping the Whovians and the Trekkies apart.
Yeah.
But this book here, this is if you look up nerdgasm in the dictionary, this would probably be it. Mm-hmm. This would probably be it. Doctor Who, huge following as we've said. Star Trek, legendary following as well, and to put both together in one book.
It's amazing. I mean, they're combining the villains as well, right?
That's right. You've got the Cybermen from the Doctor Who universe and the Borg from Star Trek.
The Cybermen, are they those robot things?
Yeah, they're like they're not the, no, you're thinking of the Daleks.
Oh, yes.
No, the Cybermen look like something out of like a Fritz Lang Metropolis movie. They're robots, but very
okay. That's cool.
Humanoid robots, but very classic and old looking. So
nice. Well, that should be exciting.
IDW is pushing this book in a big way. There's lots of incentives that they're making available to retailers and fans for this book, and I think they're hedging their bets that this is going to be a huge success. I got to give it to IDW. They've been doing a lot of cool things in the last couple years with crossovers. They've become very talented at acquiring all of these cool licenses and then figuring out ways to get the characters to cross over with one another.
Yeah, but it's almost becoming like a gimmick, you know what I mean? Like, chill out a little bit. Because, I mean, Infestation '1 didn't work out too well. That was a piece of crap.
No, Infestation '2 is doing a little bit better, though. But I think it's because of the inclusion of the Turtles universe. Because the Turtles is such a big hit right now for them. Doctor Who comics and Star Trek comics on the whole with IDW haven't been doing fantastic numbers. Maybe this is the kind of thing that they need to get a boost out of their...
Isn't, like, Doctor Who an immortal god? Like, how can you really...
He's a Time Lord.
How can he really kind of... how can Star Trek compete with something like that?
Well, Doctor Who and the Enterprise, they're going to be joining forces,
I guess. But he's going to be like, all right, let's go through time. They're like, we can't do that. And he's like, losers.
They can... I wonder if they can fit the Enterprise into the TARDIS.
Probably. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Next up is Higher Earth #1. You are illegal on this Earth. Space is dead. Why conquer other planets when there's a perfectly good Earth in the universe next door? Heidi, a girl born in garbage. Rex, a soldier gone rogue. The only thing between them and their destiny is an empire of 150 different Earths across 100 alternate timelines. One majestic planet dominates them all, Higher Earth. Created and written by Sam Humphries from Fanboys vs. Zombies, Higher Earth is a sci-fi follow-up to last year's indie hit, Our Love is Real, a fast-paced epic of infinite possibilities.
I have a feeling that Kevin is trolling us here. He's always talking about this love is real thing. He wants us all to think of bestiality. And
that's what I'm here to represent.
This book seems pretty awesome. I mean, Fanboys versus Zombies, I was kind of iffy about
Right.
because it could have gone either way, but this, I think it's just wicked.
A lot of sci-fi books we're talking about today, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on, sci-fi? I think it's, you know what? I think this is going to be the year of sci-fi comics.
Do you think so?
We've got all these, pretty cool books coming out in May. Brian K. Vaughan's Saga is coming out in March. I know everybody's looking forward to that. We've ordered a ton of them here, and I think it's going to be the book of the year. So I think sci-fi coming on strong in 2012.
Hopefully, yeah, because I mean, sci-fi, it's kind of been waning ever
Right.
since, like, I'd say the late 80s,
Yeah.
90s to 2000, sci-fi's garbage.
Now.
Bad 20 years.
Sam Humphries is a guy on the rise, though. He's been, talked about by every comic blog out there ever since Our Love Is Real came out. And he's recently signed on with Marvel now to co-write the Ultimate Comics Ultimates with Jonathan Hickman. And Sam Humphries is being compared in a way to writers like Jonathan Hickman and Nick Spencer, these guys who started on these massive hit indie titles and parlayed that into a career working for Marvel.
Hopefully, Captain America doesn't fall in love with his shield.
I think he already has.
Uh-oh.
I love multiple timelines and alternate Earths. It kind of reminds me of that TV show from the 90s, Sliders. You ever watch that?
Yes. I watched a little bit of it, yeah.
It's on Netflix, so check it out if you haven't had a chance to watch it. It's, it's definitely got its 90s cheese element to it, but, good overall concept, awesome story. Jerry O'Connell in that.
Yeah. Now, do you find, like, with alternate universes, sometimes it gets really confusing?
It does, and then when it gets really confusing, you have to have George Perez come in and help with a Crisis on Infinite Earths. Just, consolidate everything.
Exactly.
Right? The first issue for this book will have 4 covers, and it's going to be available for a low price of only $1. So that's really cool. I love it when publishers do that, put the first issue out for really cheap, get everyone hooked, and then I see them back next month when they have to pay $3.99.
Come on, man. Just give me that issue. Up next, we have the relaunch of Valiant Comics with XO Manowar #1. It's the comic book event a decade in the making. The all-new Valiant universe kicks off with a landmark, oversized #1 issue of XO Manowar by the New York Times best-selling author Robert Venditti, Eisner Award-winning artist Carrie Nord. Born into battle, Arik of Dacia, heir to the throne of Visigoth people, has never known peace. After a brutal encounter with a mysterious enemy known as the Vine, leaves him a prisoner on an incomprehensible world. The only hope Arik has of returning to his family and saving them from slavery is to seize a weapon of incalculable destruction and become XO, Man o' War. The Vine destroyed Arik's world. Now he will give them war.
All right. Ricky, were you a big fan of Valiant Comics?
I don't think I was old enough. Back in the 90s, I was like still a little punk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Valiant Comics was a huge deal in the 90s. They were a publisher that basically came out of nowhere and published some hugely popular books for a while, and then just over the years kind of disappeared. And this is the relaunch of Valiant Comics. A lot of people who were buying books in the 90s are really excited about this. And it's going to be a bit of a task getting people who didn't buy these books in the 90s, such as yourself, on board for this. But it couldn't come at a better time for them, I think, because with the DC relaunch that happened in September, you had a whole bunch of what they call lapsed readers, people who haven't bought comics in a long while, come back into the comic collecting world. And the launch of this book seems to be timed perfectly to take advantage of some of those people who were buying books in the 90s and are now looking for some of those favorite characters that they had that may not be around anymore. I'll give you a little bit of background on Valiant Comics for those of you who don't know much about it. And I stole this from Wikipedia, so there you go. It might be true. It might not be.
Who knows?
Right. In 1988, former editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics Jim Shooter and former manager of the Allman Brothers Band,
Very nice.
Stephen J. Masarowski, and a group of investors attempted to purchase Marvel Entertainment. They submitted the second highest bid, with financier Ronald Perlman submitting the highest bid and acquiring Marvel. Shooter and Masarsky instead formed Voyager Communications in 1989 with significant venture capital financing from Triumph Capital. After publishing licensed comics with Nintendo and the World Wrestling Federation,
Sweet.
nice, Voyager repositioned itself to focus on its initial plan, creating original superhero comics under the Valiant Comics imprint. Harbinger #1 was listed on the top 10 list of Wizard Magazine, the industry's leading trade magazine, for a record 8 consecutive months, and was eventually named Collectible of the Decade. Imagine that, eh? Collectible of the Decade.
That's insane.
In a decade that saw, X-Men #1.
Yeah.
And the Death of Superman.
Death of Superman.
Harbinger #1 was the collectible of the decade. In 1992, Valiant's editor-in-chief Jim Shooter was given the Lifetime Achievement Award for co-creating the Valiant universe. Valiant also pioneered a number of marketing innovations, such as the Zero origin issues. So that's who we have to thank for issue zeros.
Thanks.
The gold logo program and coupons redeemable for original comic books and chromium covers.
What is that?
That's like the chromed out like covers of comics.
Oh, yay. Thanks
Like
for
the
that.
foil, like the foil covers and stuff.
Silly man.
Valiant's market share reached a level almost identical to DC Comics, a company whose characters were created 50 years earlier, and in 1993 Valiant was named Publisher of the Year ahead of Marvel Comics and DC Comics. In terms of sales, Valiant's comics rivaled those of industry leaders Marvel, DC, and Image. Now, Valiant was originally... Valiant ended up getting purchased by Acclaim, the video game... the video game publisher.
Bad move.
Yeah,
Bad move.
well, hindsight's 2020, Ricky. But Acclaim ended up going out of business, and along with it, so did Valiant and its characters.
Sucks.
So in 2007, this group got together and purchased the rights to the characters from whatever was left from Acclaim. They've been in a legal battle ever since to get the rights to publish these characters, and now finally in 2012, they're ready to go. Exo Manowar is the first book in this relaunch. They're doing some innovative things again.
You have more chrome covers?
No. They've introduced the first ever talking comic book cover.
What?
And yeah,
What?
basically the comic cover will come with a one of those QR codes. Those square
Okay.
barcodes, and you scan it with your smartphone, and the cover will talk to you. I guess through your phone. And we were just sent this. This week, it's the Hear the Voice of War, Exo Manowar. This is the preview poster for it, and sure enough, there's the QR code there, and this poster will talk to you. So
Originally I thought it was one of those like Hallmark cards where you open it up and it's like, I am talking. You are. It's like The Simpsons, the Al Gore call. I am Al Gore. You are hearing me talk.
That would be a little. That would be cheesy.
This sounds super cheesy.
But how long before some of the other publishers start trying to replicate this?
Hopefully never, but we'll see. We'll see. What they need is those screens that are like paper. Have you seen those things? It's like bendable, moldable screens.
Oh yeah. I forget what they're called.
I don't remember
like
what
organic,
they're called. Yeah, but if they can make comics out of those, whoa.
What they need are iPads.
Yeah,
digital
right.
comics. The cool thing I will say about this Exo Manowar book, I'm not huge on Valiant stuff. I noticed a lot of it in our 50-cent bins over the years. So it is encouraging, though, that a new publisher is entering the market at this time. More comics is always better. But I'm going to give this one a shot. It's drawn by Kerry Nord. He's a Canadian, so I'm gonna support him.
And he's a Nord for all you Skyrim junkies.
Ah,
he's a Nord.
nice.
Sweet.
As good a reason as any. That about wraps it up for comics in May 2012. That's just some of the many good titles coming out in the month of May, and I encourage everybody to flip through the previews magazine and have a look and see what kind of comics you're going to want come May. Let your retailer know if there's anything in there that they wouldn't normally order, so that they can have everything that you want.
That's right. And come May, wish me and Kevin a happy birthday.
No,
you
don't.
You could buy me the talking comic.
You know what would be good? We don't have mugs this week.
Yeah.
Maybe we should buy each other Stadium Comics mugs. We should buy a mug with our Stadium Comics logo on it.
Okay, done.
We'll do that. That's our gift to each other. Some honorable mentions for books coming out in May that we didn't get a chance to cover would be the other books in the Wave 2 of the New 52 relaunch. So you've got the Ravagers #1, GI Combat #1, and what's that other one?
Dial H.
Dial H and Batman Incorporated #1, written by Grant Morrison. We've also got Free Comic Book Day, as we mentioned, and the big events that will be continuing through May.
Yes, the Night of the Owls.
Night of the Owls, and Avengers vs. X-Men will be in full swing. So look forward to all of that. May's going to be a kick-ass month. Take care, everybody, and hope you enjoyed our look at comics in May 2012. We'll see you next time when we look at graphic novels coming out in May.